Go.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's time for another fun update. So, as always, let me know when you can hear me and how do I sound. So, thumbs up from John. So, let me start with this 2,809. And no, that's not the number of days until we launch. Oh, come on, Max. That was a good one. That was...
Sorry, lots of messages about how they can hear you really well and you sound happy.
So, again, 2,809. That is the number of our ARCs and players that we peaked out at during the latest test. Again, 2,809. And not 2,809 people spread across a whole server. Because, yeah, gee, we've done that before. I've done that before. Obviously, any decent MMO has done that before. I'm talking about 2,809 in a battle. And a battle that took place on a field that you could run across the field at normal speed in about 15 seconds. So you're talking a tiny spot. You're not talking a battleground. You're not even talking about a little battleground. You're talking about, you know, a day at the beach with your friends. You're talking about this really tiny spot. And we had 2,809 players and, you know, ARCs running around, using abilities. And by the way, all those ARCs were using abilities. And not just abilities, knockback abilities. And not just knockback abilities, but knockback abilities that launched you way into the air, like you were, you know, jumping up and down on a trampoline that had steroids injected into it. This was fantastic, and this has been a fantastic week. This is exactly what we've been testing, you know, since last week. That's what you guys and gals have come in and saw, and today we even brought in the beta 2s to come in and see it, and a whole bunch of you folks showed up for that. Judging by the comments, you all were having a lot of fun, and there was certainly some surprise, some doubt, which I expect, and a whole lot of oh my gods, and lots of things just like that. So yeah, I'm in a really good mood. I hope you all who are in the test are in a really good mood, because if you were in this test, what did you see? You saw that, as always, we deliver on what we promised. That's what we do. Yeah, it's taken longer. We know that. Yes, we've apologized for that. On the other hand, what you folks saw today, what you've seen all week, is that everything we have been doing, all the time and the effort and the money that we have put in to make this happen, has resulted in something that none of you have seen in any other game you've played. And that is these many connected clients and players playing in a tiny space with great performance, very little developer induced lag, and in a way, even when you had a low frame rate, because 2,809, the game was still playable. And certainly there are fantastic engines on the planet. You know, obviously games like Total War. Buddy of mine who's made the Nitrous engine for Oxide games can display even more objects on the screen. But what we can do is they're not just NPCs. These are the exact same thing as players. And that's what we've done, and that's what makes it so special. So we're hoping to have another quick test this weekend. As we said before, these tests are rather expensive, because we have to spin up all the AWS instances to support them. You know, these are headless clients. These are, again, the exact, or about the exact same thing as players. So it costs us a lot to run them. But for tests like this, and to show you all what we've been doing, it's worth it. So that's it. And that happens to be the first item on the top 10-ish. So I don't have to say anything else. But we're hoping not right away, but certainly over the next few months to take that number significantly higher. Now, not significantly by like to 10,000, but certainly breaking 3,000. So number 2, another work in progress, the Art and Tech. Sorry, from Art and Tech VFX. So Wiley has been working on the trail shader for the game. Obviously, kind of need that, and making very good progress on that. We are also working on the VFX for trebuchets. Number 3, of course, because we have a lot of trebuchets, and of course Realm inspired trebuchets, as well as scorpions and other stuff, which will be coming up shortly. Number 3, another work in progress, a improved ability system. So as you know, we've been saying this for weeks. We've had a number of people working on the ability system. We then brought in Andrew and George and Christina to work on that, and things are going great, especially when you look at what you just saw in today's test. Because again, if the ability system wasn't scaling, we couldn't do 2,809. I'm going to keep saying that. Sorry. Happy. New record for us. 2,809, all using abilities. So, yeah, good stuff. Number 4, rubble improvements and damage. So Colin had been working on making rubble, building rubble, when it falls, hit players and hurt them, and eventually crush them. So, yeah, so that's moving along nicely. Number 5, tech. As we always say about the tools guys, in this case guys, because we actually have more than one, they, usually don't get enough credit. I don't like to say here because we do try to give them credit, but certainly across the industry. Internally, people know who the tools guys are, and they have a lot of respect for that. Outside, you really don't hear their names mentioned very often. We try to mention, Bull, because he's doing an awful lot for us, and has been doing an awful lot for us since he came here on tools. And this week he updated our content pipeline to use some of the new MongoDB features. So number 6, another work in progress, UI improvements. So hey, good news, players, the updated battle group UI has been pushed and hooked up, so you folks can use it. So we still don't have the ability yet to create battle groups, but that is coming. And we've also, AJ added a search feature to the building UI. So also the next iteration of the crafting UI is finished and pending final review. So once we get through the final review, you'll see it in the game. Number 7, Art, Realm Trebuchet skins. Dion, who's, what is it today? It's her birthday! Hey,
it was delighted, people.
Hey, it was written down here. See, I'm just following orders. How many times has that been used? Has just finished the Viking and TDD Trebuchet skins. So obviously, we've been saying from the beginning, trebuchets and all the siege equipment will be realm based. There's no point in having exact same stuff between realms when with classes. And the races, they're different, so your siege equipment should be different. So obviously we want to get that in the coming days. Number 8, work in progress, design, siege, magic mortars. So magic mortar, and we've talked about this before, this is something I wanted added to the game for sieges. It's another way of getting another siege weapon in there that's a little bit different, from the typical, obviously trebuchet, catapult, scorpion, blah, blah, blah. So, Ben is working on the design, for them as well. So, number 9, Art, Characters 2.0. Yeah, we keep using the same title, better looking and more performing characters. And it's absolutely true. The reason why we keep using the same title, because it's pretty much the same thing, in that we keep upping and going through all the different realms, the 3 realms, all the different characters, and improving their look, improving their performance. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing now, it's just going to get better. Number 10, work in progress, art, Giants. Yes, remember them? Anticipation of new races down the road. John has been working to update our Giant models to the new 2.0 update. So not only will that get them into the game and get them into the game looking better, but it also we'll use the info from that as we bring in some new races. Number 11, and the last item on this concept from Art for the Sapper Bomb. So obviously we had the Christmas present surprise bomb before break, and now we're updating it to have different types of bombs, different realm type bombs, because it's, hey, that's what we want to do for you guys and gals. So that's it for today's update, at least the top 10-ish. Let's go to Q&A.
Give us your questions. And that's right, Sevi Sky, there's no cash shop.
Not gonna happen. You know, we've said right from the beginning, we are a sub-base game. And in my opinion, as I've said many, many times, way too many times, full-price sub-base games, in my opinion, should not have meaningful cash shops. If you have cash shops for things like, again, the same thing I've already said, character transfers, the slots, though we're giving you a lot of slots, sure. But the kind of cash shops you see in free-to-play games, no way. Not going to happen in Camelot Unchained as long as it is a subscription-based game.
Svarty asks, these trebuchet skins you mentioned, is it just colors and details or the actual mechanical design of them?
The mechanical design is the same. We're a small team, as you folks know, and you know, we have our limits, even though if you've seen 2,809, that's how many times I can fit that in, right? Then you think that we could probably do that same sort of stuff with art, and it's just a matter of time. The art team is very small. They're very hardworking, very talented, but, you know, they have limits too. So, you know, for now, the mechanics of these things will be the same, but they will look different. There'll be different stats, of course. They'll have different ammo. But in terms of the basic mechanical, you know, functioning, it's all going to be the same. Because, excuse me, allows us to reskin them and then do the other ammo. So, you know, you get the almost best of both worlds. You do get the different skinning. You do and can have different ammo. You can have different stats on them in terms of, you know, damage and how quickly they can fire to a degree. But to have really different ones with totally different mechanics is just not something right now this team has the number of people needed to deliver on.
Strike wants to know, who among those 2,809 was your favorite?
Oh, you know me, Strike. I have no favorites. Only people I don't like. No. It was fun. Another fun test. A lot of great comments. If you were there, I hope you really enjoyed the time. We're going to be doing this again, of course. But I was really pleased to hear what we were hearing from people. And for our European brethren, as I was saying in the game and on the forums, this is the kind of performance you're seeing on a US-based server. So imagine how much better the performance will be for those folks playing from Europe when we set up European servers, which is, we have said, we will do during beta. Absolutely.
Jack Mode asks, how good does it feel, Mark? I mean, really, how awesome is it to be revolutionizing tech in the MMO market again?
Well, so look, we can't claim to revolutionize. So let me be blunt about this. We can't claim to revolutionize jack shit until we actually deliver the game. It's one thing to say that our tech is great. It is. It is one thing to say that you know, we're doing things that other teams haven't been able to do. That's absolutely true. We will take credit for revolutionizing tech or a game when we've earned that. We've earned that right. There's enough people in the world going around saying they're revolutionizing things, changing things, and they haven't delivered on anything. when we deliver, then you know, as a player and the rest of the community can decide if we've done that, and we can make that same call. This is not false humility. This is just, I think, a very honest way to look at things. I do think where we're going with this is absolutely revolutionary tech. It's awesome tech. It is working really well, but we still have to deliver, and in our case, that means a live product. And so when we do, you know, expect us then to be quite happy about that. But overall, the first part of the question is so spot on, and thank you for it. I am ecstatic right now. I am absolutely ecstatic. It's been a great week. I mean, you know, a few weeks ago, so let's flash back to a few weeks. You know, I don't remember which update it was. It was, I think, maybe the second one that I did since we came back. And I talked to you folks about how, you know, not every update is a great one, and we had to take some more time and make a little more effort on things just to be sure that of where we were. And of course, there were some people who got concerned about that. And I don't blame anyone for doing that. I really don't. But here we are a few weeks later, after some effort made on our part, not only to look at things, but to change some things. And here we are delivering well above our expectations. You know, we set out, I don't mean our expectations from a week ago. When we set out on this Kickstarter, we told you folks that we were aiming for 500. Again, 500 people in a large-scale battle. Here we are, and it's not 500 anymore. It's 2,809. Come on, Max, sing along.
For real?
No. Or yes, it doesn't really matter.
2,809.
So, you know, that makes us feel really good, and that makes me feel really good. How to say this most accurately is a bit of a challenge, but I think I can do it. I take this stuff rather seriously. I am very passionate. There's a good word. I am very passionate about this game, about my, you know, our studio, my family. It's all what's, you know, so important. They're all so important to me. So I tend to feel things pretty deeply, especially when it comes to things like delays or failures or mistakes. So to be sitting here or sitting there when I was testing along with everyone else and seeing the results of the effort and seeing the comments from people and just watching, you know, the performance, yeah, it makes me feel really, really good. And you know, I am absolutely ecstatic right now. Thank you for that question.
Bumble asks, will there be any testing this weekend?
Hey, Bumble, I saw you in the game. We hope so. I'll get the confirmed time for that. It will be a short test, just like this one. I'm really sorry about it. I'd love to run this whole day, but it is an expensive test, and we want to keep doing it as often as possible. So rather than just do large blocks, we like to spread it out. One of the reasons for that is so we can keep, you know, iterating and testing, which is a good way to make sure bad things don't sneak in. So while we're doing these large scale testing, obviously we're keeping track of the performance of the engine, how well everything feels, and so that way as we continue doing that, if something then feels off, if the numbers drop, you know, we're on it like that, which is kind of just a wee bit important when you're trying for the kind of numbers we are.
Tirsis asks, when will the CSE store carry Hawaiian shirts with the CU logo?
I actually want to do that. I really do. I love Hawaiian shirts, as you folks know, and you know, it's not quite the time to wear them again yet, but I will. And I certainly love to have some CSE designed Hawaiian shirts, because that would just be epically awesome. So hopefully soon. You know me, this all falls under the we haven't earned the right to sell you stuff, or lots of stuff, until we start, really delivering on the things we wanted to deliver on. That may be old schoolish or sound silly, in light of how other, devs do things. But that's okay. Every dev has a right to do things their way. But it's not our way. And so we do want to do that. I really do want to do more things like that. But we'll get a little further along, and then we'll talk about setting stuff up like that.
Okay, this is too funny. Michelle says, "You have such a nice logo. Why don't you just replace it with the ugly palm tree?"
Fantastic.
Link asks, "Is the game still not planned to have a PvE like Deok did for something to do and fall back on? Is it still only PvP related?"
So, yes and no. Again, we've been very clear about this from the beginning. Nothing's changed. It's all about leveling. So, Dark Age and Warhammer and so many other games allowed you to level your character in PvE. Right now, we're not allowing that. We have said right from the start there will be plenty of PvE in Unchained. You won't, other than crafting, be able to level your character that way. So yes, there will be PvE. Again, we've said this right from the start, but no PvE leveling. So, that we haven't changed one of our foundational principles yet, and nothing certainly on the horizon, nothing even in planning, nothing even I thought about would lead us to changing any of them. And as always, I love PvE. I love great PvE especially, but right now that's certainly not the plan for Camelot Unchained. Leveling, not content. There will be content, just not leveling.
A couple of people have asked about crafting, and they want to know if the best gear will be crafted.
Oh my God, of course. You don't want to say the only gear, because once again, we said this from the beginning, players need to start not naked, and if you can't find crafters, because we say we were wrong about the crafting system's appeal, then we can supply stuff. But the plan is that the vast majority, 99% of it, will come from players, and all the top level gear will come from players, unless there are just not enough crafters, in which case certainly we can start distributing stuff for sale via the Kings.
Drooged asks, will the new crafting UI add or hook up any new crafting functionality that we haven't seen yet but may be ready to test?
Honestly, I don't think so right now, but I could be wrong. I need to check with AJ on that. My attention over the last few weeks has not been focused on what's going in the latest rev of the UI. Again, I don't think so, but I could absolutely be wrong about that.
Omer Side asks, is CSE thinking about how to deal with the inevitable gold farmers?
Oh, we've been thinking about that from day one. Oh, geez. You all know how much I love gold sellers. I mean, I love them. Oh, they're my favorite people in the world. I've always treated them with the utmost respect and biggest of hammers. So yes, we thought about it right from the beginning. It's part of the design. The fact that this game is not PvE leveling based makes it a lot harder on the gold farmers, because as you folks know who've played any MMO, almost any MMO over the decades, wherever you have an MMO, gold farmers certainly will try to follow. But they love the kind of behavior that is repeatable, that you can just say, hey, go over there and just sit there and kill everything that comes by, and then you move over there and kill everything that comes by, then you go over there, then kill everything that comes by, then you go there and kill everything that comes by, rinse, wash, repeat. Doesn't work that way with this kind of game. You really can't just say, okay, in an 8-hour shift while you work from wherever, you need to produce X amount of gold. And this is how you do it. You really can't do that in this game. That sort of consistency, that's a sort of, very easy peasy system for generating, even if it's low amounts per minute. It's a consistent amount per minute. That does not work in this game. And as you folks know as well, though you may not, which is fine, of course, that the way the rewards are given, you can't just immediately get a reward for doing everything. So a lot of that and other things are designed specifically to make this a game that gold farmers will certainly not, vote for in their Hall of Fame gold farming games, which is exactly how I like it. Though I do enjoy banning them. I really do. It was so much fun in Warhammer.
Raknok asks, how much bandwidth does a 3,000 player battle take up per moment of battle?
A lot. The interesting thing, though, is that we've set the bandwidth per player to be fairly low, like I believe a couple 56K modems. So, as an individual, your bandwidth consumption isn't high. But when you have 3,000 individuals, well, then it gets kind of high. So, it's something that we continue to work on, we continue to improve, but it's something that, is not cheap. So, that's one of the big reasons why these tests are expensive. Certainly the number of instances we have to spin up is also, kind of expensive. But it's worth it. We've always said to you folks that we're going to do things the right way. And while at times it certainly hasn't seemed that way, things like that, I hope, reaffirm that that's exactly the way we're doing it. We're not waiting till the end to load test. We're not waiting to the end to stress the hell out of the systems. We've said we're always going to do that and try to do it as often as humanly possible. And this is one of the ways we do it. We spend your and the investors' money not on lavish suites or fantastic horticulture, but we spend it on doing things like this, by lots of these kind of tests that, while expensive, expose a lot of issues with the system, or in some cases, like now, not as many issues, which is great.
Lotaween asks, has it been determined if res points will be predetermined or player buildable after launch, and if predetermined, will there be 2809 across the world?
Well played, +1. Certainly there are going to be some predefined res points, there have to be, but most of them, of course, will be built by the players. You got to have something to res to. If you lost an island, otherwise you would just end up back on the island, which if you've lost the island, that's kind of unfair. So yes, it's going to be a combination of both of them.
Strike asks, can you give us a date on when we can expect 2810?
Well, hopefully the next test. The big leap is getting hundreds more. That's not even a big leap, but the next step is getting hundreds more. There are things that you folks saw in the test. We've called them skywalkers, when we simply cannot update everyone's position fast enough, because we can't get enough updates about those positions to the client. So there are things that we can do and we will do to improve that on the client side. But we still have some room to go, we believe, on the network side, so we can get that number up.
Kendrin asks, regarding RVR, will there be only self-crafted or built castles or buildings? I can imagine that it's kind of a hustle to build a castle, etc., and farming the mats for it when it can be destroyed quite fast.
Yeah, we both. Certainly, we've talked about the places of power, but do keep in mind, we've said from the beginning that if this game was set up in a manner that if you build this great castle that could then be easily destroyed, but would take you forever to rebuild, we know that's a quit point for people. So it's not going to be that. We've been very clear that destroying an entire castle is not something you're going to do. I don't know, at 4 a.m., for example. You're not going to be able to do that. So it's not going to be as simple as, hey, you lost the battle and now they can, just dismantle your whole castle. And when you have to rebuild, there'll be things in place to allow you to rebuild it faster and easier than you put it up initially. Because again, if a guild worked weeks, say, and this is not the number I have in mind, but if, let's make it really extreme so nobody will think, oh, he really means it. So if it took a year, to build a small keep, and then it took another year to rebuild it, people would justifiably curse my name and quit, and then curse it some more. So that is not going to happen here. That's not the intent. It may not be the easiest thing to build, but it will be easier to rebuild. And again, if it's hard to build, it should also, of course, be hard to destroy.
AJ Curiel asks, in regards to what will we as the players fill in the gaps with, since there will be no PvE content, I worry that there won't be enough content to keep myself and other players coming back every day. What will keep it from becoming stale?
Well, remember, I said that there is PvE content. It's just not PvE leveling. So we have the depths, which will keep coming. We hope you'll keep coming back for. We'll have other places like the depths. We've talked about mines before. So there's going to be plenty of stuff to do besides just going into the woods and bashing each other over the heads with sticks. But the goal won't be to level your character in the traditional sense of, hey, I got this many experience points, so now I get these additional skills. It'll be, hey, I did this and I got these materials, so I can now sell them for a lot of money. Or I did something to help the realm, so the king will give me things. So it's not there. And again, I need to be really clear about this. And I know it's sometimes hard, for people to see, because usually I don't explain it as well as I wish I could. But if you just think about all the things you could possibly do in this kind of a world that don't necessarily need players to run on the other side, you can do that. You just won't get the traditional leveling from your character. Well, I've been very clear that is the difference, the leveling. And leveling to me, again, since the beginning, has always meant improving your skills. It does not mean not getting rewarded. It simply means you can't go out there and beat on guards at a keep and expect that your skills that you used to beat on the guards will go up. So there will be PvE content, there'll be significant PvE content, but you will not be leveling your characters that way. And if anyone has any doubts about it, just look at the places of power. That's one of the reasons they're there. There is that content. There are reasons to do things. You will get rewarded for it, but if you're not fighting other players directly, your skills, your abilities, they won't go up, but other things will.
Svarty asks, will we get more information on the interesting tech you are doing in a more in-depth way? I would love to see what you are doing with servers and more.
Certainly we can talk about that more. We had some fun visitors just the other day. Another cloud company that is interested in our business that we talked to, and just like we did during the Dark Age days, I'm a kind of big believer in asking other people if they think we have our heads up our ass, because that's kind of important. And as I talked about on the forums back in Mythic, we hired the ever powerful Spike to come in from SOE, and he joined us, and he helped us out and looked at the way we were doing things. We had the fine folks from UUNet also do the same thing for us. So we're big believers in that, and so we explained our tech to them, and they kind of liked what they saw. So we can certainly talk about it more. We're pretty proud of what we've done so far.
Recrochet asks, any chance you might bring in little tributes to legendary personas of the Daok player base as a little homage, or is CU for you a completely isolated game?
Well, it's not that it's isolated, but look, we've been very clear from the beginning that this is not, Dark Age of Camelot 2. I couldn't do that if I wanted to. It belongs to EA. So we've also steered very clear, and I always intend to steer clear of anything that could seem like poaching, almost. And those characters and those people, they belong to that game. And it's not that I am not, I'm talking about players, obviously, not lore or things like that. It's not that I'm not appreciative. I'm deeply appreciative. If I had the Dark Age license or the Dark Age IP back, we probably would have done that instead of this, but I didn't. That belongs to EA. So I'm trying to be respectful and trying to be fair. So it's not that it's not that I don't appreciate those people. I really do. Just like I've always thanked the team who made Dark Age of Camelot, including myself, for their efforts. So I wish I could do more, but to do that would be crossing a line that I'd rather not cross just from my own moral compass.
Adri Cortesia asks, how many more people do you need to deliver the game in 2019?
Well, that's complicated, and the reason why is not me trying to be evasive. It's just it depends. So, are we going to outsource more art versus in-house more art? We have actually a new concept artist starting, I think Monday actually, the remote until she moves here. She and her husband move here. So, I really can't put a number on that because art is much more fluid. In terms of engineers, not too many. We've had some great interviews, had some success, and hopefully we'll have some more success. But it's not like we have to take the size of the team, the engineering team, and double it. It's not like that at all, not anymore. We've talked about that. We brought on some new people in the last year, and we're starting to pick up the pace, and I hope we can pick it up some more.
The chat, there's enough of you chatting that the chat kind of skipped forward, folks, so if I missed your question, I apologize. Aaron on the YouTube chat asks, in a question from years ago, I asked if realms would grow with the towns. XP gaining NPCs. Was given kind of a yeah, but wasn't told how and what that would do to help the realm. Can you explain more about NPC guards now?
I hate to say it, but actually no. The reason why is NPC guards have not been a focus of us. If you've seen our orcs running around, that's true because they really are as dumb as rocks. But over the next 6 months, certainly, we're going to be expanding their capabilities. They will play a bigger role. They need to, obviously, in the game, to guard, to protect, to patrol. we do, in a perfect world, of course, we'd love them to be, smart enough that they don't have to cheat in order to give you folks a good fight. We'll see how that works. But nothing's really changed. I mean, they're a part of Unchained. They need to be. But how far we'll go with them really depends on time.
The Lotus Wraith asks, what is resource gathering going to look like? Hunting, mining, and the depths.
I could be snarky and say hunting, mining, and the depths, actually. But no, what it's going to look like, because that's a fair, an absolutely fair question. Hunting will generally appear like hunting, nothing special. We'll have animals out there, wandering that you'll need to kill, things you can raise. The depths certainly will have things, as we said from the beginning, that can be hunted for rewards. In terms of, mining, I still would love to be able to do a recreation of what you saw in The Hobbit, where you had miners coming down from the ceilings and all sorts of cool stuff. We're staying away from doing anything right this moment on that, because it's frankly more important to allow you folks to get the resources easily, so you can test aspects of the crafting system. But when we get to the bubbles and real mines, then we'll at worst just have a system where you go up and you use a pick or magical ability on the resource. But hopefully we'll have the time to make it more unique.
Protest the Bread asks, in Daok, dying while leveling or RVRing impacted your character heavily, and for myself was a great way to incentivize smarter and better play. Will CU have a similar death mechanic, and or will deaths matter?
Yes, deaths will matter. We've said that we couldn't be clearer from the beginning that death has to matter. If death doesn't matter, you have a situation, certainly like other games have had, where you're really, just playing whack-a-mole. So deaths will matter. It's not a system, though, where you'll lose XP or the equivalent of XP, but death has to sting. I have said this again. I don't know if I talked about it as one of the foundational principles. It's been so long, and I certainly don't read them over and over again to remember exactly what was in some of them. But the idea is that death must sting. It must hurt, but it should also not be a quit point. Just like for most people, death in Dark Age was not a quit point. But great question. I don't get asked that one a lot, actually.
Camelot Unchained Can't Wait asks, how do you come up with classes? What's your inspiration?
Lore, of course, other games. It's important. One of the things I've told designers forever, and other people who aren't designers, is that it's really important to know what else is out there. Really, and it's actually quite crucial. One of the reasons is so you don't clone somebody else's system, because that's just not cool. But also and more importantly, so you can learn from their mistakes. Seeing something that you like and going, ooh, I like something like that, that's all well and good. But you need to be able to learn from what other people have done wrong. Sometimes developers make mistakes just because, hey, a great idea or a good idea doesn't pan out. Other times we do it because we do the dumb, because we all do. Anyone who, says they've never made a mistake is generally lying, or never tried anything. I definitely look at other games. I definitely read a lot of lore, of course, and I also play a lot. And I do credit myself with thinking about how things fit together. And then that's only part of it, because even if I come up with the core ideas, then you have to have somebody like Ben who can think even more deeply about things and flesh a lot of stuff out. That was similar to what I've done on other games, certainly in the past. And so, yeah, I think that's the best. And sometimes I just get ideas. I mean, it's really weird, but this is what people who think a lot about these things and designers do. Sometimes we're not even thinking about, hey, what would be a great class to add to our game, and then just an idea comes up from the back of the head, and you go, oh yeah, that might work. So, if I could pinpoint, a process that worked every time, I'd patent the damn thing. Okay, guys. Sorry, 5-minute warning.
5-minute warning, folks. Here's a question from Velor. I've been wanting to back CU for a very long time now, but I have had a bad taste in my mouth from fully backing other games. Can you wholeheartedly assure the players that hackers / pay-to-win / unbalanced Zergs will be dealt with accordingly and transparently?
Okay, so let's start with the easy one first. Hackers, yes, absolutely. The bottom line is one of the reasons we put server-based physics is and put so much effort into server-based physics was to prevent that. As you know, as anyone knows who's played these kind of games, hacking the client is easier, hacking the server much harder. So that's number one. Unbalanced Zergs, certainly. Oh, sorry, sorry. Oh, damn. Unbalanced gameplay, and what did he call the Zergs?
Unbalanced is pay to win, unbalanced Zergs.
Oh, it was unbalanced Zergs. Oh, fine. So in terms of Zerging, we've said that from the beginning as well. That has been something we have paid attention to. It's certainly something I tried to address in other games, and we'll certainly try to address here. And I saved the best for last. Pay to win. I couldn't be more committed to no pay to win in this game than I think under any circumstances I could be. It's just something I don't believe in. It's something I've never believed in. Look at our Kickstarter Founders Packs. Certainly we had expensive ones like other games, but not a single one gives you an advantage in the game. Even the highest price ones. We were really clear on that. Look at our current tiers. Where's the pay to win there? There is none. I was scrupulous about thinking and kind of anal retentive, quite honestly, about that with our tiers. I could have brought in a lot more money. Oh my God. Just ask certain games. If I'd been willing to go and add pay-to-win elements to it. It is something I am vehemently against. I am a gamer. I'm an old-school gamer. I understand the arguments that people make for things like sped-up experience and a difference between paying for convenience. I certainly get that. I especially now that I'm older, I certainly understand that. Pay to win is a whole different story. So no, I can give you my 100% assurance that as long as I am running the company, because unfortunately anything can happen in this world. Just ask those poor people in Sebring, Florida, for example. As long as I am running this company, there is going to be no pay to win in Camelot Unchained. It's not worth it to me. I've spent my whole career, if nothing else, being consistent. And when I say, I'm going to do something, I've done it. So no, I can give you my 100% assurance that in terms of pay to win, it's not going to happen. In terms of Zergs, we've been addressing it in our minds from the beginning. So, it's up to you if you think, we can deliver that. But look, if you want to wait longer, feel free. I tell folks on the forums all the time, and I don't mean our forums, other people's forums, don't pledge yet. I spend a lot of time talking on sites, especially massively, MOP, and I'm the guy who's saying, hey, don't pledge yet, take your time. So I am certainly would love to have more backers, but if you have doubts, just wait. You can't, at most you lose a slightly cheaper tier and some other benefits, but none of them are pay to win. So I do thank you for your interest, and I hope you decide that you hear and like what you see enough from us that you do. But if you don't, totally understandable. Do you have that was a great question, but if you have another great question, I'll take it. I don't mind running a little bit late.
That was such a great one.
It really was, but if you had something in mind, I don't want to deprive the person who asked that really great question.
That was the one I had in mind.
Oh, okay. Well, then having said that, that's easy. Okay, so that said, again, oh, what a week. We need a background singers from the 70s now singing "Oh What a Night," if you didn't get that reference, because I'm old. But it's been a great week. It's really been one of those periods of time that make doing what we do so enjoyable. It really does. When you can see not only things coming together from our side, but the reactions of people inside the game, the Beta 2 folks, who in some cases have been so patiently waiting to get in. And they get in, and what do they see? Something they've never seen before. And their reactions to that, which thank God weren't, oh my God, get me out of here. But instead were just one compliment after another, stunned disbelief at times about what they were seeing. And we've been seeing that all week, which is great. When people say to you, this is impossible, this is black magic, and you've given them a reason to say that as opposed to people just trying to be very nice, that as a developer is really heartwarming. And so that that has led us all to have an excellent week here. We continue, of course, to make great progress. We've even started rearranging the office a little bit. Max was served, as you know, with an eviction notice, this week, so we could move a programmer from his desk to another desk, so we could move a programmer right next to Ben to work, with Ben on the ability system. That's how serious. We were willing to throw Max out of his desk to another desk because we wanted to make sure that Ben had a programmer sitting right next to him to work on the ability system. That's how seriously we're taking it. But it has been just a great week overall. And hopefully, I think the plan is still to have a short test this weekend. That will be in the update. For those of you who haven't seen the test this week or today, right now I'm going to go through my lots of screenshots I took, as well as I was filming every time. So I'm going to see if I can grab anything from the video, and that will be in today's update. So you'll get a peek at that, and that will wrap it up. So, as always, we thank you for your patience. We thank you for your support. And I hope we've given you 2,809 reasons to be excited about Camelot Unchained, and to, be excited about not the long view, I almost said something good and I just messed it up. Oh well, to be excited, not just in the short term, but in the long term as well. Sorry about that, guys. Because what you did see today not only really bodes well for the future, but bodes well for building an experience for you folks that you will enjoy. Because as I say to everybody who we talk to, it's not about necessarily being able to put 2,809 arcs on a screen. It's about what power that gives the designers to come up with scenarios, to come up with sieges, to come up with abilities that can use all that CPU and GPU power to make what you're playing in exciting and different and challenging. And as Tim said while we were talking to the cloud folks, oh yes, and you can do that in VR as well. Yeah, jaws dropped at that one. Not that we're actually putting VR for Camelot Unchained, but the engine can handle that too. So, it's really, we're at a very, very exciting point for the company, for the game, and I hope for you backers. So once again, having said that, we thank you for your support. We thank you for your patience. Please have a safe and fun weekend, and I'll see you next week.
See you later.